Hello and welcome to swisswatchgang. Today we're doing another review and it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. We're going to talk about the Jacob&Co epicx watch, which I have here in my hands. So Jacob&Co is a company based in New York, but they create their watches in Switzerland. They are known for incredible timepieces which are meticulously finished and crafted throughout. They're also very well known for their jewelry line, which is also incredible and just a wonder to wear and to see in person as well, using multiple stones, diamonds, materials, and also a lot of imagination. So the watch I have in my hands today is the Jacob&Co epicx watch from the epicx collection. It's my personal watch, so it has a few wears and tears. We're gonna now dive into the watch itself. So the dial of the watch is basically skeletonized or open worked. What it means is that the watchmakers remove as much of the movement material as possible, not affecting the functionality of the watches, in order to give you this skeletonized see-through effect, which is very difficult to create. Thus many watch brands don't do this as well, because the level of finishing and the level of decoration has to be on par with the style of the movement. Let's talk about the movement and the so-called dial of the watch itself. The hands are skeletonized, which you can see clearly here, and they are polished with red lacquer tips. The whole design of the case and the dial and the movement is basically created in an X-shaped form, which you can see here from the lugs and the movement itself and the bridges. The miniaturing is black around the edges of the movement with white numerals so you can read it more clearly. And then also the barrel and the balance wheel are vertically aligned to give you this balanced look, as well as these two bridges on the outsides of the movement. On the side you have a discreetly engraved Jacob&Co logo. There's nothing else on the glass, so if you don't know the brand or if you don't know the watch, you will not recognize it's a Jacob&Co watch, which I personally really like. The epicx collection is very different from the other Jacob&Co watches because it's not that, let's say, crazy designed. It's more modest if we compare to the Astronomia or the Twin Turbo or the other Godfather watches you may have seen on social media. So the dial, as you can see, or the movement, as I explained before, has a lot of different finishes. So you have beveled edges, which are hand beveled in Switzerland, of course. You have also mirror polishing or black polish, which means that the part of the watch, the component, is so polished that in some circumstances it turns completely black when you play with angles. When we turn the watch around, you can clearly see that the movement is fully see-through, and you recognize that the watch doesn't have a winding mechanism, a winding rotor, because this is a hand winding movement, which is perfect for me because I love this personal touch which you have when you wear the watch every day. You know, so when you wake up in the morning, you basically have to wind the watch. You can see the barrel on the top, so you know if the watch is fully wound or not, because when the watch is fully wound, the spring is completely tight. When it's not, it's loosened up, and also the balance wheel, of course, doesn't work. So it's always a treat in the morning to basically set up your watch, see if it runs correctly, and wind it. You can also hear the clickety-clack of the crown when it's moving, which also adds a bit of, romanticism, if we can call it that way. The back has a lot of different finishes as well. You have the finishing that stands out, or the decoration, is perlage, which is circular graining, which you can see on the darkened parts of the movement, clearly here. You can also see the brushed finishes here, and also the screws and the ruby holders, the chatons, are mirror polished to give it this extra effect. The case itself is a different dimension of the watch. Usually cases are not this meticulously crafted and don't have that many facets, as you can clearly see here. The case itself is, for me, a piece of art, because from the front side you see the bezel, which is brushed, and on the side polished. The case from the side is polished and sandblasted and creates this beautiful multifaceted effect. You can see also the dents here, which are hand polished, which is really difficult to achieve. Also, the crown has a specific design, which is just known for this watch, which I really appreciate. It's not your standard watch crown. From the back, you can also admire the case, which has specially designed screws to hold it together, which are used only in Jacob&Co watches. You can see your typical inscriptions on the back as the Jacob&Co on top, Swiss made. At 6 o'clock, you can see the designer of the whole timepiece, which is Benjamin Müller, which you can see at 6 o'clock. That is inscribed on the bottom because it's a very important information as well. The strap on my watch is specific because on the bottom it's made out of red rubber inscribed with the Jacob&Co logo, and on the front it has a leather cover to make it look more luxurious, for example. I love this combination because in summertime, when I get sweaty because it's hot, the bottom doesn't get destroyed and the top still stays nice. So I don't have to switch my straps out all the time. Coming to the buckle, it's a very simple buckle, not a deployant class or nothing crazy like that. It's a tank buckle, which you can clearly just put in the watch. You tuck in the tip of the strap and voila, here you go. The buckle is also in titanium, like the whole case is, and it has two different types of decorations. One is microblasting and polishing from all sides. Last but not least, the case, as I did mention before, is made out of grade 5 titanium, which for me personally ticks all my boxes because I love a watch that is light on the wrist. I'm not a big fan of heavy watches, so this for me is perfect because, one, I love the style of lugs, which is very avant-garde, so-called fancy lugs, and very distinctive. Two, the watch is very light because it's made out of titanium, of course, and very resistant as well. And three, it's skeletonized, which means I can see the movement, I can admire the types of finishing and the craftsmanship that went into the watch, which is not always the case with watches. Some of the watches have closed case backs and closed dials, which are okay, but I prefer skeletonized watches because, you know, when you have a busy day and you want to just relax a bit or look at something beautiful, you just look on your wrist and there's a beautiful little city, you know, sitting on your wrist, working 24 hours, as long as you wind the movement, of course, because it's manual wind again. Let me now put the watch on my wrist so you can see how it fits, because that's also a feature I really appreciate. So putting the watch on the wrist is very easy because of the tank buckle on the bottom, as you can see. We just fasten it up, put it in, voila. The watch sits very comfortably because, again, it's titanium, and the lugs and the strap are constructed in that way that the watch is basically hugging your wrist, and this adds a lot of extra comfort to the wear and tear of the daily use. The size of the case is 44 millimeters, which for me, having a slightly bigger wrist than normal, is perfect. As you can see, it hugs the wrist really nicely. This is it from my side about this watch. Again, it was the Jacob&Co epicx watch. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe if you want to see more of those videos in the future. We would appreciate that. And in the right corner, you can see there is a picture of a watch which we'll be reviewing next. So comment down below if you know which watch this is, and stay tuned for more amazing videos.